we'll be hearing about how a fellow volunteer organized her community to raise funds and awareness. I am happy to introduce Shannon Epstein. Shannon is a remarkable individual whose dedication to Crohn's and Colitis Canada is truly inspiring. Shannon has been an integral part of our community for many years, and her contributions are nothing short of exceptional. Shannon started Generation C, an initiative designed to engage and empower younger professionals in Montreal with our mission. Her leadership was instrumental during her tenure as co-chair of the Montreal chapter, where she played a pivotal role in the Montreal Gutsy Walk. Shannon has also facilitated crucial partnerships for Crohn's and Colitis Canada, including the one with Lazy Pants. Those are really comfy sweats. In her professional life, Shannon is a CPA specializing in the financial services industry, but it's her journey with Crohn's disease that fuels her passion. Diagnosed at the age of 20, Shannon has made it her life's mission to support the IBD community and contribute to the quest for a cure. Her involvement with Crohn's and Colitis Canada began in 2013 when she became a volunteer. Shannon's unwavering commitment extends to her role in building a tight-knit community that captures the voice, ideas, and needs of young Canadians living with IBD. Shannon has been at the helm of Slashing Crohn's and Colitis Ball Hockey Tournament for 7 years and is about to embark on year number 8. Slashing Crohn's and Colitis has raised over $300,000 since its inception, funding vital IBD research. Shannon was also recently elected to the Finance, Audit, and Risk Committee by the Crohn's and Colitis Canada Board at the last board meeting, and will thus be offering her financial insights to the organization in a more formal capacity. Today, Shannon will be sharing more about the Slashing Crohn's and Colitis Ball Hockey Tournament. Shannon is speaking with Danielle Redekop, Specialist Emerging Campaigns at Crohn's and Colitis Canada, about her journey as a volunteer and event organizer. Please welcome Danielle and Shannon.
Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Happy to be here. Hi, Danielle.
Hi, Shannon. How are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. And on top of all of that, Shannon's also a new mom, and she has a very adorable baby that I always hope makes an appearance. But if we're so lucky, you might hope otherwise. Anyway, thank you for the introduction, Jessica. That was great. And thank you so much for the previous presentations. Those were really enlightening and eye-opening. And I really appreciate you guys being here and sharing your time and your stories. And now I'm excited to get Shannon to share her story. So that was a wonderful introduction. Is there anything you want to add, Shannon?
No, I don't even think that I would have been able to introduce myself.
Perfect. Okay, well, we'll jump right in. We do have some questions, and if anyone has any follow-up questions that they would like Shannon to answer about her events or any of her involvement, please feel free to throw those in the chat, and I will try to get to as many as I can as we go through. We're also going to try to make up some of our lost time here. So, but yeah, we'll jump right in. So, Shannon, we heard that you were diagnosed when you were 20, but I'd love to hear how you first got involved with Crohn's and Colitis Canada. Where did you start with us?
Sure. So after I was diagnosed, I know a lot of people who have Crohn's and colitis, IBD, but I didn't really know what that meant as an impact on your life. So I more took CCC as a way to learn about what is IBD, how will it impact my life. I was in university at the time. I was like, hey, how can Crohn's and Colitis Canada help me or find my way and navigate through my diagnosis? But when I got involved, there really wasn't in the Montreal area something that I was able to tangibly contribute to. We have the gala here that was more geared towards people who were older than me at the time, or the Gutsy Walk, which was pretty much a well-oiled machine at the time, running pretty seamlessly. So I didn't feel like I could contribute much there. So Generation C really came about because we wanted to do fundraising and advocacy for people in the young adult demographic, which is aging as I am aging, but I like to still consider myself a young adult. Whether that's true or not.
I feel you.
So essentially I got a group of people I know who have IBD or who have significant others or siblings that have IBD together, who would want to essentially plan a first fundraiser. And that's really how we started. We had this like Sanka set style night. It really raised maybe $300, maybe $300 to $500, but we had like 150 people there. So when you do the math, we didn't quite raise a lot of money, but we did get a lot of people out. So that was essentially what got me started, was, finding, I guess, a gap in the Montreal area in support for young adults.
Awesome. Do you mind elaborating a tiny bit on what Generation C is, just for everybody who might not be aware? Because it's a really great program that you had set up back when you started it.
Sure. So essentially it was a group of adults like 18 to 25. And as I said, like now it's till 30, and then soon I won't be 30 anymore. We'll see how this goes, but essentially a group of young adults, young professionals that really wanted to give back to the IBD community, whether that be by advocating for the IBD community, volunteering by way of time, or helping us plan these fundraisers and raising money and sponsorship. So it really helped fill that gap in between, the Gutsy Walk and the Gala. That was the only two programs available here at the time.
Awesome. Thanks, Shannon. That's great. And so when it comes to the Slashing for Crohn's ball hockey tournament event, how did you come up with this idea, and like how did you get started?
So it was really just a brainstorming session. I think one of my friends say, hey, like, why don't we run a hockey tournament? It was really easy to put together. I'm like, sure. Like, I don't know anything about hockey, but if you think that you can handle that aspect of it, I can work on the logistics, the food, and the fundraising portion. And I'm pretty sure the first year that we did it, we decided to have a hockey fundraiser, a tournament fundraiser, and the fundraiser was a month later. So learning now that a month is not a sufficient lead time to run any type of fundraiser, but you live and you learn. But essentially we kind of got a bunch of friends together. Maybe we were 6 hockey teams at the time. We raised max $1,000, I would say. But it was really nice to get people out. But again, we really didn't have people at the time that knew much about hockey. So the participants essentially kind of put the hockey aspect together on the fly during the event. So since then, we've created a more core committee with people who have the expertise on the hockey side, who have expertise in fundraising logistics, which help bring together a more well-rounded, seamless event.
That's awesome. And we heard that you're coming into your 8th year of it. Is that right?
It is, which is so crazy, but yeah, we are. It'll be in March 2024.
That's amazing. Congrats on that. I'm excited to
Thank
see
you.
how it goes. And I know it'll be amazing, as all of the other ones have been.
Thank you.
So when it came to this, you told us a little bit about it, about how you kind of created a committee, and like a group around you to support the planning and the execution of the event. How did you go about building that group, and how did you guys work together logistically? How did that work for you?
So, the group kind of came together organically. I have to say that it was really people who were very passionate about hockey, and we had people who were passionate about Crohn's and Colitis Canada, and, putting that together really allowed for us to have a sustainable committee of people that wanted to contribute and build this fundraiser. It was some participants from the event being like, hey, I love this event. Can I get involved? We're like, yeah, of course. And, from there, it's like, I want to help with the hockey aspect. I want to help with the fundraising aspect. And, we still are missing people, I would say, in terms of logistics, or, we can always help from the sponsorship side. The more people you have, the more connections they have, and you never know who you can reach out to. But really, in terms of communication, we were working remotely, from the get-go, having calls, like WhatsApp chats in the beginning, especially in the university, young professional demographic. Like, people have a lot of conflicting schedules and conflicting commitments. So for us, we said, hey, like, let's meet once a week, once every 2 weeks, depending on how far out we were from the event. And that's really how we functioned. And if we needed to have like more or less meetings at a specific time to cater to the committee, we were able to adjust that as we went along.
That's great. And how did you find you guys work together? Was there ever any kind of conflict or anything you had to work through? We know sometimes that when we get together in these committees, it can be a little bit difficult, but how did you guys find that you worked together?
It's like one big group project. So for those of you who have feelings about group projects, essentially it's that. And I think what we've learned along the way is that, yeah, some people will have, I guess, conflicting opinions, but we never had like conflict in the group. We're all young professionals. We're able to, share our opinions in a way that's, polite, I would say, or like more politically correct. And I think it's important to hear everyone's opinion as well, because something like for me to say, hey, I think this is a really good idea, to be met with, no, it isn't, and why, that's something that could save us from a potential future issue in the future. So I think, keeping the lines of communication open and listening to everyone's opinion, whether we end up going one way or another, I think is imperative in any type of committee to allow for us to try to prevent any potential issues in the future. And, also learning as you go, like, hey, this person is really strong in this area, let's delegate this task to them specifically. So, it's a lot of learning along the way. And our event now is big, but it wasn't big initially. And I think like having us start small and growing organically and slowly allowed for us to kind of know where our strengths are, where our weaknesses are, and, have an event that's more sustainable now.
That's great. That's very good advice, actually, for working in these committees. We all know how difficult it can be, and pulling weight and making sure people are working to their strengths. So that's awesome. Thank you for covering that. So switching a little bit, how did you go about securing donors and participants for your event? Let's start with donors, because those are very different things.
Sure. So donors, year one, we were not a lot of people on the committee. I think I was like, my dad has an accounting firm. I'm like, hey, does your firm want to give $200? Like, let's get it started out. He's like, sure. And then he's like, oh, I know a friend. And then, it's a lot of like, hey, I knew a friend. And that was really the beginning, and it was small amounts. So it was kind of hard. It was really rare that if we reached out to a company that we had a good connection with for a very small amount, that they would actually say no. So that was how we kind of started. And then as the event grew, the tournament itself had a very strong reputation, and people really just wanted to come out and play. It was moving less away from the IBD. I think obviously we bring light to what the cause is for, what we're raising money for, but it's almost like we're moving away from, hey, you should come out because this event is supporting Crohn's and Colitis Canada, to this is a really, really well-run tournament. We know it's for a good cause. And that's kind of how now we're able to attract more donors and more participants. And I guess participants is the same thing. The beginning was really just friends, like, let's get together, let's try to raise some money for a really good cause. And then they're like, hey, the tournament ran well, or we need to make these changes in the future. Let's find it. And then you have teams that already play together. Maybe they say, let's participate in that tournament. And from there, we were able to increase the participants as well.
That's great. And then when it comes to attracting your participants, do you do any kind of promoting or social media or anything like that that helps to get that attention?
So we have some social media presence, but I have to say, that's an area that we could really use a committee member for. Staying consistent with social media has been something that's been difficult for us, since inception. It's, in the last 10 years, social media has played a big role, I think, for any type of anything really these days. So, that's somewhere that we need to improve our presence. Again, it's a lot of word of mouth at this point. And we've also been in a position to say, hey, this team, for XYZ reasons, maybe shouldn't participate this year, communicate with them as well. So it works both ways. I would love to promote more through social media. I think as well, like as a fundraising tool, it's very helpful. Like how our event works is that each team, they have the option to either pay for themselves. They have to raise a minimum amount, so pay for themselves, the team, or they can fundraise like as a team, similar to Gutsy Walk style. So, having more presence on social media would make it a lot easier, I think, for us and for the teams to maybe meet those minimums and, reach more people and advocate for the cause.
That's a fantastic idea, having your participants become fundraisers themselves and go out. You're spreading out and widening the network and the pool. That's really smart, actually. I like that a lot.
Yeah, it sounds,
and if anyone
impressive, like, yes, we've raised 300,000. Yes, we did, but there's a lot of people together have raised 300,000.
Yeah. Still though, that's good. And it's an amazing way to do that, to be able to spread out that way. And if anyone's in the Montreal area and is interested and experienced in social media and wants to help out, please reach out to the volunteer email and we will get you connected with Shannon. So what would you say would be your best piece of advice to give to someone who might be interested in starting a new fundraising event or campaign for Crohn's and Colitis Canada?
So again, start small, like plan to do less than you think you're able to do, because you don't know what's really going to come up along the way in any new event, any new type of fundraiser. For example, like the first year logistics. Like I didn't expect it to be such a difficult thing to get everything to the venue. You know, that on its own was something that I thought would be so easy. You pick it up, you bring it over, but it's so much more than that. So I think, you know, plan for less and then work up to more each year. You never know. And also really listen to feedback after, you know, from either your committee members or whoever's helping you plan the event, potential participants, like listen to that feedback. And, you know, act on it. I would say for us, for example, like we've always run a 2-day hockey tournament. Last year was the first year we heard like a weekend is too much to commit to. A lot of people have kids. A lot of people have other things going on in their lives that, you know, taking an entire weekend, even if the event is amazing and well run, it's too much. So this year we're actually moving it to a 1-day tournament, you know, 2 1-day tournaments instead of 1 2-day tournaments. So we're still going to have similar number of teams. We're just going to structure it a little bit differently. So I think it's important to listen to that feedback. And again, I don't even know what's going to happen this year. We are changing the event again. We had it, you know, run well 1 year and then you make a change the next year. You don't know what's going to happen. So, you know, start really small, do less than you think, because stuff will come up along the way. People that you expected to rely upon, you know, might drop off too along the way, depending on how far out you are from your event. Things come up, especially in a volunteer setting where people are doing this willingly, you know, they're giving their time. As passionate as people are, you know, they might have expected it to be less, or they committed to less than it actually is. And you more may fall on, I say you, but whoever is, you know, that the person initiating the event or the people initiating the planning of the event. So just do less for the beginning.
Yeah.
And if you don't raise a lot of money, I think like year one, I think it's important to know that like getting people out there, like even the money will come. That's been our experience. The money will come, but getting the people there every year, you know, just to give their time and devote time in honor of like Crohn's and Colitis Canada, I think is a great step. So perhaps, you know, less focus on the money too at the beginning, focus more on running a really well-run event and learning from it.
Oh, absolutely. And it sounds like that's helped you a lot, because the word of mouth has been such a big thing for helping you spread and get more participants and more donors over the years. I can't remember if we've touched on it, but can you share how much you raised in the first year, since you've been talking about starting small, and then what you raised in this past year?
I don't remember exactly, but it was less than $1,000. So, and this year we raised over 110,000.
That's amazing. And that's incredible growth over 7 years of doing this. That's amazing growth, but it can really show that just hammers home the point of what you're saying of starting small, making it sustainable, and then growing it in a really great sustainable way so that you can kind of expand that reach and hit $110,000 one day. It's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. I'm aware that we are pushing some time, but I do want to just ask if anybody has any questions that they would like to ask of Shannon, and then we'll be happy to to elaborate a little bit before we close off. And that's okay if there isn't any. You can also always reach out to the volunteer email if you have any other follow-up questions, and Shannon and I would be happy to kind of respond back to those too. So from our team, from the community fundraising team, I did just want to also share that if anyone out there is interested in starting a new fundraising campaign or event, that there's lots of ways that you can go about doing that. We love creative new ideas. We love to hear what it is that you're coming up with. So the best thing that you can do is just to reach out to your staff partner, and we would love to work with you to get you set up with whatever amazing new event or campaign you're looking to start. And we also wanted to share that we are very excited that we are also putting together a new platform for fundraising that will be coming to you early next year. So keep your eye out for that. We're really excited to get that going for you all, to make it a lot easier and to arm you with a lot of really great tools to be able to do something yourself one day too. Outside of that, thank you, Shannon, so much for your time and for sharing all of this and for chatting with me. It was awesome to see you and to hear more about your event.
Thank you, everyone. So happy to be here.